She is a shadow in history, a figure relegated to the role of a silenced victim, a woman whose tragedies seem to define her existence. But behind this shadow lies an unwavering force that defied the conventions of her time and, in doing so, rewrote her own destiny and that of an entire lineage. This is not merely the tale of a deceived woman, it is the saga of a hidden intelligence, a fierce resilience that history has ignored. Tamar's tragedy began early, with her arranged marriage to the firstborn of Judah, one of Jacob's sons. The joy promised by the marriage quickly vanished when described as evil in the sight of the Lord, died without leaving descendants. According to the law, it was the duty of Onan, younger brother, to marry Tamar to continue the lineage of the deceased. However, Onan, selfish and calculating, refused to fulfill his obligation, practicing coitus interruptus to avoid fathering a child that would not be his. His disobedience and disregard for tradition and Tamar's honor also led to his death, leaving her widowed for the second time in even more painful and humiliating circumstances. With two of Judah's sons dead and Tamar still without an heir, the responsibility fell on Shelah, the youngest, who was not yet old enough to marry. Judah, perhaps fearing that Tamar would be cursed or that the blame would fall on his family, instructed her to return to her father's house and remain a widow until Shelah grew up. This promise, however, was never kept. Years passed, Shelah matured, but Judah, consumed by irrational fear and unfounded superstition, never sent his son to marry Tamar. She was left in a social limbo, a childless widow, without hope for the future, condemned to infertility and oblivion. It is at this point that the figure of Tamar begins to detach itself from mere passivity. Traditional narratives portray her as a pawn in Judah's life, a victim of circumstance and male cruelty. But would it be fair to ignore the weight of her forced waiting, the humiliation of being seen as a harbinger of bad luck, the pain of having her right to descendants and a future denied? The quiet in her paternal home was not one of resignation, but of observation. It was the cauldron where Tamar's intelligence and determination simmered, forging a bold strategy to reclaim what was rightfully hers, not out of whim, but out of a deep conviction in justice and the continuity of her lineage. Tamar's story, therefore, is not merely a lament over the injustice suffered, but the precursor to one of the most brilliant and courageous acts of female empowerment in antiquity. Her waiting was, in fact, a period of profound reflection and meticulous planning. She was not a passive woman at the mercy of fate, but a strategist in the making, preparing for a move that would shock her society and secure her place in history, in the royal lineage of Judah, and much more late in the afternoon, in the time of David and, according to tradition, of the Messiah himself. The true Tamar, the one no one understood, is about to emerge from the shadows. Judah had promised, but the delivery of Shelah, his youngest son, to Tamar, a crucial ancestral obligation, evaporated with time. It was not a mere wait, but a flagrant violation of a sacred custom and a betrayal of the dignity of a doubly grieving woman. As the years dragged on and Shelah grew, becoming eligible for marriage, Judah, fearing his death, deliberately ignored his word. But Tamar was not one to resign herself. Far from being a passive figure on the verge of despair, she observed, analyzed, and, in her calculated silence, forged a bold and unimaginable strategy. Her mind, a moving chessboard, plotted the next moves, not for revenge, but to secure her future and the legacy that was rightfully hers. The opportunity arose when Tamar learned that Judah would be going up to Timnah to shear his sheep, passing through Enaim. This was no chance encounter, but a meticulously planned ambush. She removed her widow's garments, covered herself with a veil, and sat by the roadside, on the path Judah would inevitably take. The intention was clear: to be mistaken for a cult prostitute, a Kadesha. The audacity of her disguise is shocking. She risked public dishonor and social condemnation, all to force a confrontation. There was no despair in her eyes, but a cold, calculated determination, a plan that depended on Judah's blindness and prejudice to be executed. The legal and cultural context of the time is vital to understanding the magnitude of her action. The law of levirate marriage, a practice rooted even before its formalization, required a brother to marry the widow of his deceased brother to generate offspring in the name of the dead, ensuring lineage and inheritance. Judah, as patriarch, had this responsibility, especially after the deaths of Er and Onan. By withholding Shelah, he failed not only Tamar, but also the memory of his sons and the social structure itself. Tamar's attitude was, therefore, a cry for justice, a protest against the denial of her right to motherhood and inheritance. Tamar's deception, therefore, cannot be seen as a thoughtless act of immorality, but as a brilliant strategic maneuver in a scenario where all legitimate avenues had been blocked. She was not seeking pleasure or frivolous personal gain. She was claiming her place in Judah's family lineage, the only way to guarantee sustenance and honor. Her intelligence lay in understanding Judah's psychology. A man of power, he would never imagine that the veiled woman by the roadside would be his daughter-in-law, nor that she would act with such a profound purpose. She used society's distorted view of women to turn the tables in her favor, transforming her invisibility into a powerful weapon. Thus Tamar did not act impulsively, but with precision from a master strategist. She knew she needed pledges, something that would unequivocally bind Judah to the meeting, guaranteeing the fulfillment of the implicit agreement. The seal, the cord, and the staff were not mere objects. They were symbols of identity, authority, and ownership. Asking for these items was a calculated move to create a perfect trap, irrefutable evidence for when the truth came to light. This was not a desperate act, but a bold and calculated blow, a checkmate in the chess game she was playing against fate and against the patriarch who had abandoned her. The news of Tamar's pregnancy soon spread, laden with condemnation. 3 months passed, and her womb revealed the situation. When Judah learned that his daughter-in-law was pregnant by prostitution, as he suspected, his reaction was instantaneous and brutal. "Bring her out and let her be burned." The patriarch, blinded by his own hypocrisy, clamored for fire to punish the infamy he himself had instigated. The irony was cruel, the injustice glaring. Tamar's fate seemed sealed, a victim of a society ready to judge her without knowing the truth, without questioning the deeper layers of an intricate family drama and broken promises. But Tamar, the woman who had planned every step, was not one to surrender. On the brink of death, she sent a message to her father-in-law, Judah. It was not a plea for mercy nor a desperate supplication. It was a silent and powerful declaration, a calculated checkmate. Through a messenger, she delivered to Judah the objects he had left as collateral: his personal seal, his belt cord, and his staff, his mark of authority. Each item, an irrefutable fragment of his identity, returned to confront him at the moment of his most severe sentence. The stage was set for the revelation, and the air was heavy with a tension that foreshadowed a dramatic and inevitable turning point. Upon receiving those objects, Judah felt the ground crumble beneath his feet. His eyes scanned the seal, his distinctive mark, the cord, an extension of his person, and finally the staff, symbol of his authority and leadership. Each item was a mirror reflecting his moral failing, his broken promise, and his hasty judgment. The shock must have been indescribable, the shame overwhelming. He realized with painful clarity that the woman he was about to condemn was the same one he had slept with. The mask of indignation fell, revealing the face of hypocrisy, forcing him to confront the stark truth of his own actions and to admit the complexity behind what seemed to be merely a scandal. Before the crowd, which anxiously awaited the execution of the sentence, Judah could not deny it. With his voice choked with the realization of his guilt, he uttered the words that would echo through history, a testament to humility and acknowledgement. "She is more righteous than I." What a powerful statement. A public acknowledgement coming from the accuser himself that Tamar, in her boldness and pursuit of justice, she had demonstrated a righteousness superior to his. This confession not only absolved her but elevated her, transforming an apparent act of desperation into a testimony of faith and divine intelligence. It's a moment that makes us reflect. How many times do we judge without knowing the whole story? If you feel touched by this twist, leave a like and a comment below, sharing your perspective on this incredible saga. The truth finally came to light, and with it, the divine validation of Tamar's actions. Far from being a scandal, her ruse proved to be an instrument of providence. Through her courage and unwavering determination, she secured not only a place in the lineage of Judah, but the continuation of the promise made to Abraham. She became the mother of Perez and Zerah, and from Perez would come the royal descendants of David, and ultimately, the Messiah himself. What seemed like a desperate maneuver was, in fact, a movement of profound faith, a cry for justice that God heard and validated. The story of Tamar teaches us that God's ways are mysterious and can use the most improbable circumstances to fulfill his purposes, revealing that true righteousness lies in the pursuit of justice and faithfulness to promise, even when the world insists on judging by appearances. Judah's public confession not only saved Tamar's life, but validated her shrewdness and relentless pursuit of justice. Time passed, and Tamar's pregnancy became evident, culminating in the birth of twins, an event laden with profound symbolism. Like an echo of the birthright disputes, Tamar and Judah's sons struggled to emerge. First, one brother reached out, being marked with a scarlet thread. But in a surprising twist, the other broke through first, being born ahead and being named Perez, meaning breakthrough. His brother Zerah came next. A birth that was not only a miracle, but the fulfillment of a divine promise, guaranteeing the future of the lineage. With the birth of Perez and Zerah, Tamar not only secured her place, but etched her name into the most sacred tapestry of human history. Perez, the breakaway, would become the direct ancestor of King David and, centuries later, of the Messiah, Jesus Christ. A widow, thrice rejected, marginalized and almost condemned, now figured in the genealogy of kings and the Savior. Her audacity, her apparent scandal, was in fact a crucial step in divine providence, an unbreakable link in the chain of redemption. She became the bridge between promise and fulfillment, an unexpected matriarch whose legacy echoes on every page of the history of faith, forcing us to reevaluate what we consider sacred. Tamar's narrative is a powerful testament to the fact that faith and resilience can rewrite the darkest destinies. She was not a passive victim, but a daring strategist, a woman who refused to accept the role that society and tragedy imposed upon her. In a world dominated by men and laws that disadvantaged her, Tamar used her intelligence, courage, and deep conviction to claim not only her right, but her purpose. She defied expectations, broke conventions, and in doing so, paved a path for her voice to be heard and her existence to have meaning. Her story is a cry of empowerment, a reminder that true strength lies in the ability to fight for what is right, even when the world silences her. For women of faith today, Tamar's saga offers an inexhaustible source of inspiration. She teaches us that resilience is not just about surviving, but about thriving amidst adversity. Her journey demonstrates that even in seemingly hopeless situations, hope and determination can open unexpected doors. Tamar has become a symbol of overcoming adversity, of how a woman can, with shrewdness and unwavering faith, not only protect her future, but also influence the course of history. Her example encourages us to question injustices, to not conform, and to actively seek our place and purpose. Her life is a vivid reminder that divine justice often manifests itself through human courage. Thus, the story of Tamar, the woman who rebuilt her destiny, remains an unshakable pillar of faith, courage, and empowerment. She shows us that divine purpose can manifest itself in the most unexpected places and through the most unlikely people. Her legacy is not just an old chapter, but a beacon illuminating the path for all who seek justice, inheritance, and a greater purpose. She proved that the determination of a single woman can alter the course of history, ensuring the continuity of a promise that would culminate in the salvation of humanity. If you felt inspired by this story, leave a like, subscribe, and share with those who need to hear about Tamar's strength. Which other biblical character would you like to see unveiled? Leave your comment. Until next time,